Ciao amici, and welcome back to Experience Italy with Friends. Today we're talking about something that's practical, fun, and a little different from our usual episodes. A listener recently suggested that we do an Italian lesson, and with the busy travel season underway, we thought it was the perfect idea. Because, let's be honest, navigating a foreign country in a different language can feel intimidating. The good news is that you absolutely do not need to speak fluent Italian to have an amazing trip here. But learning just a few words and phrases can help you feel more confident, make everyday situations a little easier, and often lead to warmer and more meaningful interactions along the way. So today, we're keeping things simple. We're going to share some basic Italian, explain when and how to use it, and hopefully help you feel a little more prepared on your next trip to Italy. So let's get started. Andiamo! Experience Italy with Friends is a travel and lifestyle podcast where we will explore our favorite destinations and hidden gems, share key travel tips and cultural insights, and provide real-time updates about our move to this remarkable country. Join me, Tanya Razzo, an Italian travel expert and founder of Amici Vacations, and my Italian husband and producer, Davide Razzo, on a journey that is sure to inspire you and prepare you to create immersive and authentic experiences of your own in the beautiful country of Italy. Ciao, everyone, and thanks for joining us. I'm Tanya, and as always, I'm here with my husband and co-host, Davide.
Buongiorno amici, bentornati.
Yes, welcome back. It's been a little while since our last episode.
Yeah, a little longer break than we planned, Tanya, right?
Quite a little bit longer. So, thank you to everyone for being patient with us. We've had a lot going on lately, and we'll catch you up on everything in our update here shortly. But now with the busy travel season underway, we thought this would be a perfect time for a little Italian lesson. But don't worry, we're not trying to make anyone fluent in Italian today.
Well, in my opinion, you only need to know 3 words. Buongiorno, grazie, and parla inglese.
I think that's actually 4 words, but that's not the point.
Okay.
We want to go beyond the bare minimum and share some words and phrases that can help make your trip a little easier and help you connect a little more with the people you meet along the way.
Okay, so it's a good point, Tanya. So as an American, what's your take on Italian?
Well, I believe Italian is actually a very beautiful language. I think I've said this before. It's melodic, expressive, and thankfully it's pronounced exactly as it's written, which makes it a little easier to grasp, unlike some other languages we could mention.
You mean French?
And even better, Italians are generally very appreciative when visitors make an effort, even if your pronunciation and grammar isn't perfect.
Maybe like the French?
Oh, Davide. And I should know since I still struggle with Italian grammar myself, as Davide will quickly point out often.
Sorry, hon, but it's true. However, you're getting better.
Thanks, hon. But today, let's keep things simple, practical, and hopefully a little fun as we share some Italian for travelers.
Got it. Well, before we dive into the lesson today, let's start with a quick update from life here in Montepulciano. We got a lot going on this past month, Tanya. A lot.
Well, that is an understatement for sure. It all started with the main event, which was our trip back to the U.S. for our daughter's college graduation. And that was really special. We wouldn't have missed it for the world. And we had such a great time celebrating her and seeing her reach this milestone. And what I didn't love, though, was cleaning out her apartment and helping her move. I mean, I don't want to do that for a while.
Yeah, you mean not for the next 4 weeks, right?
Fair point. I can never escape from this moving activity. I hope it comes to an end. But outside of that task, we had a lot of fun spending time with family and friends. One of our highlights was a weekend at our friends' cabin, which, in my opinion, was one of the very best parts of Minnesota.
Yeah, Tanya, the people and the places there, I really miss them. But yeah, not the rest.
Well, to your point, every time we go back to the U.S., we seem to find ourselves constantly comparing life there with life here in Italy. And there are definitely things we enjoy about being back, like cabin, friends. And It's fun to visit the familiar stores and have access to more international foods and all the conveniences. But at the same time, the traffic, the highways, the strip malls, and just the overall busyness really, it really stands out to us now, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think like life here is just a little slower, a little more calmer, and definitely don't miss the grind.
No, exactly. And, I think too, like we've just become accustomed to small town life and the countryside. And I found myself missing it. And, it was also very hard to be away during May because it's one of the most beautiful months here in Tuscany. Like it killed me to be gone. So I think note to self, in the future, we won't be leaving in May. Hopefully we're done with May graduations and events. But we came home just in time to see the fields of poppies in bloom. And we immediately went out for a Vespa ride. And I remember thinking, ugh, we're home. Love it. And speaking of home, we have a little renovation project going on, Davide. How's that going?
Well, it's actually progressing really nicely, Italian style. But I'll save that expression and the meaning of that for our main episode, which we're going to do in the future once the project is done, right, Tanya?
Gosh, finger crossed that we can actually say it's done sometime in the near future. And I think everyone's going to be excited to hear the entire story, but give us a quick update.
Okay, so, I mean, mainly, all the electrical and plumbing is in place. It's all done. The bathrooms are all tiled. It's only missing the main elements to it, the sink, the toilet, and all that. And then the kitchen is going to be delivered pretty soon. And then
But you have an important lesson so far,
yeah,
right?
So,
I mean, we learned the painter is actually the most critical person in the job. And we thought, in the US, at the end, you paint, quick, done.
No, it's not. Here's the plasterer, drywaller, or painter. It's the one guy, he does it all. And he's the most important guy. And he's so busy.
He's a very popular guy.
And very popular. And there's not many people that do that. And especially for the Centro Storico, which the walls are a little bit different than a normal home, as you know. So, but hopefully by the end of July, fingers crossed, guys. And I mean July 2026, not 2027. We will move.
Can I hold you to it?
Better not.
Wise man. So, from my perspective, the renovation has been a little different. I mean, Davide has been the project manager and I've been in charge of the design. And I have to say that our vision for the apartment has evolved a bit along the way. I mean, kind of like when we were originally searching for a property, our vision evolved from the villa to being in Centro Storico. And along those lines, like I had maybe originally pictured something more rustic, kind of Tuscan farmhouse. And the apartment just kept telling us something different, right? I mean, we've spent a lot of time in this space and we now want to preserve and highlight the character of this historic palazzo. I mean, it's been there since the 1500s.
Yeah, that's how we learned.
Yes. And, we wanted to just kind of preserve that and have that grandeur and the historic aspect be there, but of course, adding modern functionality. So I can't wait to see it all come together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see, I was happy to see that it was evolving a little bit, because I kind of was skeptical too with the whole rustic stuff. But now I'm looking forward to see it actually being done and to see the whole picture and everything. So, yeah.
Yes, I'm excited. So, but between our travel to the US, the family events, lots of client trips happening in May and June. I mean, it's really the busy season. And you throw the renovation and picking out designs and house products. I think it's fair to say we've been a little busy and maybe a little overwhelmed lately. So again, apologies for being gone. We're happy to be back and we really appreciate your patience while we took a break.
Yes, we're back in business, Tanya. So let's dive into today's episode right away.
Okay, let's get started. So, as I mentioned before, a few weeks ago, we were spending time with some clients who were here in Italy, and we were reminded how intimidating it can feel to navigate a country when you don't speak the language.
Yeah, I mean, even simple things can feel harder when you don't know what to say. I mean, and you can feel a little disconnected and I I'm afraid to say awkward.
I agree, exactly. And that's really what inspired the episode is that while Italian is certainly not the easiest language to master, it's not difficult to learn a few basics that can help you navigate your trip and enjoy it even more. So today we're turning to Professore Davide to be our lead instructor.
Presente, I'm ready. Let's go.
And I'll be here to translate the perfection into something a little more achievable for beginners.
That sounds about right.
So before we start teaching any words or phrases, let's first talk about why learning just a little Italian can make such a difference.
So, Tanya, why do you think people should learn a little Italian if they're only coming here for a week or two?
Well, because honestly, I think it can make your trip more enjoyable. Now, let's be very clear. Italians do not expect tourists to speak fluent Italian.
But Italians usually appreciate it when people make an effort.
They really do. And yes, many times they may answer you in English anyway. Like, I find it a little frustrating sometimes myself. I make this effort to speak in Italian and they'll answer in English. I mean, especially in hotels, restaurants, and tourist areas. But, that doesn't mean the effort didn't matter.
But it's important because it shows respect, Tanya. So even something as simple as saying buongiorno or grazie, or asking politely if someone speaks English, parla inglese, can completely change the tone of an interaction,
No, it's such a good point. And I also think it builds confidence as you're, relating with people to try a little bit. So when you know just a few words, the country suddenly feels a little less intimidating and you feel more comfortable walking into a cafe, asking a question, chatting with people. And sometimes those little moments lead to really nice experiences and conversations.
Yeah, I mean, people often become more open and helpful because they see that you are trying,
And that's really the point of the episode. Speaking a little Italian won't completely change your trip, but it can absolutely enrich it and help you make some connections. So our goal today isn't to turn anyone into an Italian speaker, not going to do that. It's simply to give you a few practical phrases that can help make everyday interactions just a little less scary.
Okay, so before we start with useful phrases, I think it helps to talk a little bit about pronunciation. Italian is actually very consistent. Once you understand a few basic sounds, it becomes, much easier to read words out loud.
And, that is one of the things I love about Italian. Now, it's grammatically challenging, like hands down, very difficult from a grammar standpoint. But at least when you see a word, you can sound out each letter. I mean, nothing gets omitted. So reading is made a little easier. So if you were just pointing at a menu and just sounding it out, you'll be understood.
They're 90%. Okay. So let's start with vowels. In Italian, the vowels are very clear and they don't change as much as they do in English.
And this is where English speakers can get into trouble because we want to pronounce Italian vowels like they are English vowels.
Right. So let's keep it simple and let's start it. The English A sounds like A. The English E sounds like E. The English I sounds like E. The English O sounds like O. And the English U sounds like OO.
So for those of us who remember our kindergarten days, we learned A, E, I, O, U. Now we need to learn A, E, O, U.
Brava.
Yay! And for anyone who studied Spanish in school, this may feel a little familiar because the vowel sounds are pretty much the same.
For example, the word grazie, which means thank you.
Uh-oh, this is one of your pet peeves coming up.
Yep. Americans often say things like grazie or grazia, but in Italian you pronounce all the vowels like grazie, grazie.
So not grazie.
No.
If you ever want to drive Davide crazy, just say grazie. Okay, so grazie is the correct version.
Yes, way better. Sounds great in my ear. Uh, so the same idea applies to many other words travelers recognize when they travel to Italy, such as gelato, Roma, vino, cappuccino. You read the vowels clearly.
So rule number 1, don't swallow the vowels.
Corretto.
So, but before you move on, I just want to kind of share a fun little story. So your mother kind of flipped this when she was practicing a couple of English words on me a couple years ago, the word nice.
Yeah.
She's like, Nietzsche.
Nietzsche, yeah.
So the confusion goes both ways.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about consonants. There are some consonant combinations that are very useful to know. The first one is the letters CH. The letter CH in Italian makes a hard K sound.
Not ch, like in the US,
Yes.
in English.
And because the actual letter K doesn't exist in the Italian alphabet, so they have to make up combinations to make those sounds. So, for example, Chianti, 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 like the wine.
It's not Chianti.
It's not Chianti, right? And actually in Spanish, it is chi sound, right?
Yep.
So, or then, for example, bruschetta.
Not bruschetta.
Tanya, please. No, it's bruschetta.
So I have to laugh, everyone, because Professore Davide has feelings about this word. Every time we go to an Italian restaurant and somebody orders bruschetta, Davide absolutely cringes.
I do. I feel like 10 Italians die every time somebody say bruschetta. Anyway, okay, so let's move on. So then we have the letter C in English, C, which before an E or an I in English, it will make the sound chi. So there we have the chi sound.
Where we would expect to say it for the CH.
Yes.
It's a key, but when it's just C with an E or an I,
it's a chi.
It's the chi. See?
Yeah, because it's A, B, chi in Italian. Huh? A, B, C, A, B, chi. Okay. So that you can pronounce words like cena, which means dinner, ciao, hello, cipressi, cypress, right?
Right, because if you would read it as if it were English, it looks like cena, ciao, or cipressi.
Exactly. So, but it's cena, ciao, cipressi.
Okay.
However, now if we put the C before an A, O, or U, it becomes a K sound again.
Okay.
So that's the rule there. So it becomes casa, home, cosa, thing, or cucina, kitchen.
And this is one of the areas where I still have to stop and think, like, literally the C's kill me, especially when you see it written out. Like, it's easier to hear it and get it, but when you see it, you're confused. But it now helps me to think of these common words like Chianti, ciao, cena, casa, cucina, to remind me whenever I see it written. And I'm like, oh, that's right. It's a CE. It's like cena. And so very helpful.
Good tip, Tanya. Another useful sound is the combination of GN, which is like we pronounce it nye.
Okay.
Where do you hear that? In which words? So, for example, in gnocchi or lasagna.
I think Americans get the lasagna. I think we do really good with that. I think we butcher gnocchi. Everyone's gnocchi.
Gnocchi or gnocchi.
So it's gnocchi and lasagna.
Yeah.
Okay, so then there's the GLI, which I think is one of the hardest sounds for English speakers.
Yes, Tanya, it's pronounced yi. You hear it in words such as famiglia or tagliatelle.
And this is where we remind people again, don't worry about being perfect. Do your best.
Yes, of course. You don't need to sound Italian, but you just want to be understood, right? That's the goal.
Yep. Exactly. So if you can remember the vowels and a few of these sneaky consonants, you're already in much better shape. And now that we've covered the basics of pronunciation, let's put them into practice with some real life situations travelers encounter all the time. So, Professore Davide, let's start with greetings because I actually think this may be the most important section of the entire episode.
I agree. In Italy, greeting people is very important, Tanya.
And I think this is one of those little cultural differences that can surprise Americans because in the US, we might walk into a shop and immediately ask, where can I find something? Or do you have this in another size? Or where is the bathroom?
Exactly. So in Italy, you usually greet the person first. Then you walk into the shop and say, buongiorno, which is good morning, right? And then you ask your question.
And this isn't just in stores. I mean, it's also in bars, bakeries, pharmacies, small shops. Even when entering a waiting room sometimes, like everywhere you go, you need to remember you need to acknowledge the person first.
Even when we go on a walk, like in the morning, buongiorno. Even though if you don't know the people, it's just a polite thing to do.
It is. And honestly, once you know this, it's easy. Like you don't need a big conversation. You simply say buongiorno and people immediately know that you're making an effort and being respectful.
Then we have buonasera for good evening, starting at noon.
Okay, wait. So I have some questions about this, Davide, that others may share with me.
Okay.
Buongiorno translates as good day.
Yeah, like the Aussies.
Yes.
Good day.
Good day.
Mate.
Why isn't there a good morning, buona mattina? And also, why at noon do you jump to good evening and not good afternoon?
All right. So in Italian, we don't say buona mattina. We just, in lieu of that, we say buongiorno. That to us, it means good morning. So, and then,
it's noon.
It's noon. And then we switch to buonasera.
Could be good afternoon, buon pomeriggio.
Buon pomeriggio, but it's not used very much in Italy. We don't use it. And here they don't use it. I never heard somebody say buon pomeriggio. I mean, to say the afternoon is more for like to clear up a specific time in the afternoon. Oh, ci vediamo oggi pomeriggio. We see each other this afternoon.
Okay.
So you don't say buon pomeriggio. You say just buonasera.
Okay, that makes sense. So everybody remember, buongiorno until noon, switch to buonasera after 12 o'clock. And then what about saying goodbye, Davide?
When you say goodbye, when you leave, you can say arrivederci or simply ciao.
Okay, let's talk about ciao now, because I think Americans hear that word and assume that's what everyone says all the time.
Well, not exactly. So ciao is friendly and informal, right? It's more for people you know very well.
And it's both hello and goodbye.
Yeah, and it's both hello and goodbye. Then, but if you're unsure, buongiorno and buonasera are always safe choices. But if you want to stay a little bit more formal, you can always say salve, even ask for a greeting. So
yes, so it's sort of like hello versus ciao might be hi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, but now there's also buonanotte, which means good night. But that's also a little funny because people don't say buonanotte as a greeting.
No, buonanotte you really say when you are going to bed, meaning I'm done for the night, I'm retreating. Then you say buonanotte to the people even when you're at the restaurant and it is very late, and you're almost the last person, you say buonanotte because it's safe to say you're going home to bed. So
yeah. But you never say it as a greeting to somebody. Oh, buonanotte. It's always
It's always buonasera.
Yep.
When you enter the restaurant at night, you don't say buonanotte. You say buonasera.
And then when you leave, you're going to go home and go to bed. You say buonanotte.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, that helps with greetings and saying goodbye. But there are also a few other courtesy phrases that go a long way to being polite to everybody. And of course, saying please. You need to say please with everything, per favore. You want to say thank you and be gracious, the grazie. Then in response to a thank you, you would say you're welcome, prego. And if you're in somebody's way or need to ask for them to move, You might say, excuse me scusi.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, if you only remember these 4 phrases, you're already doing pretty well.
Bravissima, brava, very well. Okay, a few others that can be useful are come sta? How are you? Not the how you doing. That's the informal way to say come stai. And then you can also say sto bene. I'm doing well. And ci vediamo dopo. See you later. A presto. See you soon.
And one that I find myself using often is posso, which simply means may I or can I. For example, may I come in or may I take a photo? Simply say posso.
Yeah, sometimes simple is best.
Yes,
There you
agree.
go.
Esattamente.
Brava.
Okay, let's move into one of the most important travel situations in Italy, going to the cafe.
Very important.
I mean, critical, right? You need your caffeine in the morning.
Yes.
And honestly, the cafe is a great place to practice because the interaction is usually short. You walk in, and first, of course, you say, buongiorno.
Always start with buongiorno. Or if you enter at night in a restaurant, you say, or in a cafe, buonasera.
You might be going for aperitivo.
Yeah, exactly. So then,
If you want to order something, one simple phrase is, vorrei un cappuccino e un cornetto per favore, which means, I would like a cappuccino and a croissant, please.
and just to explain, in Italy, people usually say cornetto, not croissant, although many people will understand both.
Good point. So the basic structure is really helpful to kind of cement in your brains. Vorrei means I would like. So you can use that with almost anything. Vorrei un caffè. I would like an espresso. Vorrei un cappuccino. I would like a cappuccino. Vorrei un cornetto. I would like a croissant.
And then, after that, per favore. Always.
Yes.
Please.
Simple and polite. Vorrei un cornetto, per favore.
Exactly.
Now, one thing that can confuse travelers in a bar is whether to pay first or after.
Okay, yeah. So that depends on the bar, Tanya. Sometimes you pay first at the cashier and then you take the receipt to the counter and you order your coffee or whatever. Sometimes you go to and order your beverages and then you pay. So if you're not sure about it, you can ask, pago prima o dopo? Do I pay before or after?
Pago prima o dopo?
Brava.
Very useful. And another cultural note, in Italy, many people drink their coffee standing at the bar. Like, you can sit down, of course, but it usually costs more to sit at a table, especially in very touristy areas. So just another FYI.
Yeah. So for a coffee, remember, buongiorno, vorrei un cappuccino e un cornetto per favore. And if you're confused, pago prima o dopo?
Perfect. You know, another common situation in a cafe is stopping in to use the bathroom. And I wanted to bring this up because it's important to know that bathrooms are usually for paying customers. So culturally, it's better to order something first, even just a coffee or a bottle of water, before asking to use the bathroom in a bar or cafe.
Yeah, I think it's very important. And, just don't walk in and ask for the bathroom right away. Just get a bottle of water or coffee first, and then, may I use your bathroom? And you can say it in Italian. Mi scusi, dov'è il bagno? Excuse me, where's the bathroom?
Very, very useful. And honestly, that phrase works everywhere. Restaurants, cafes, museums, train restaurants. Mi scusi, dove è il bagno?
Mm-hmm. In museums or the train stations, you don't have to consume anything, but you can just ask, dove sono I bagni? Or dove è il bagno? And they will tell you. So,
See.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned restaurants, Tanya. So since food is such a big part of traveling in Italy, let's stay with the food scenarios for a minute and move from the cafe into the restaurant.
Okay, let's start at the beginning. What if somebody wants to make a reservation? One of the first things related to a meal.
Okay. So you can say, vorrei prenotare un tavolo, which is, I would like to reserve a table or I would like to make a reservation. Or you can say, posso prenotare un tavolo? And that's in English, can I reserve a table?
Okay.
So that both ways works.
Okay, but if you arrive and already have a reservation, then what do you say?
Okay, you come in and say, buonasera, ho una prenotazione. I have a reservation. Then you can say your name afterwards. Mio nome è Gianni or Davide or Tanya, whatever.
Okay. What if you don't have a reservation and need a table for two?
You go in, buonasera. Ha un tavolo per due, per favore. And do you have a table for two, please?
Okay, very useful.
Yeah.
And then once you sit down, you might need a menu.
Yes. And in Italian, you would say, posso avere il menù, per favore? See, in Italian, you don't say menu. It's menu.
Menu.
Yeah, the U.
And water is always a thing travelers need to know about next, right? Because they ask you right away, shortly
Yes.
after sitting down.
Yes, in Italy, they will usually ask if you want still or sparkling water. So still water is acqua naturale, and then the sparkling water is acqua frizzante. So you can say, vorrei acqua naturale, per favore, or you say, vorrei acqua frizzante, per favore.
Okay, that's helpful. You've gotten your water, and you've been studying the menu, and you'd like to order.
All right, so then you say, vorrei ordinare, per favore. I would like to order. Or very simply, siamo pronti. So the more polite, when you say the more polite way, you say the more higher end restaurants where you see like waiters with their gilet and stuff like that, very elegant.
Okay.
When you're in a trattoria or osteria, you can say, siamo pronti. We're ready.
That's probably easier.
Yeah. Okay. Use that.
Okay, well, let's move on to something very important for many individuals, allergies or dietary restrictions. And I have to just say that in general, Italian restaurants are very accommodating. So, but you need to express it.
Very, very accommodating. And here's how you do it. If you have an allergy, you can say, sono, if you're male, you say, sono allergico a... If you're a female, you say, sono allergica a... So, for example, sono allergico alle noci. I am allergic to nuts.
Okay, and that's very important.
Yeah.
And some people are also gluten-free or lactose-free. So now what do they say?
Well, you can ask for avete piatti senza glutine. Do you have gluten-free dishes? Or you say avete piatti senza lattosio? And so do you have lactose-free dishes?
Okay, but I would just say too that if somebody has a truly serious allergy, like life-threatening, you don't want to rely only on memory or correct pronunciation. So it's important to have it written clearly in Italian. And we've provided clients with these phrases before they go off on their trip, and they make little slips of paper that they hand then to the waiter.
Yes, that's very important.
Okay. But let's move to the fun part, compliments.
Ooh, Italians like compliments about the food.
Very. Like, you have to. Like, if they don't hear that you like it, like, I think a little part of them dies inside.
What they say? They say, è molto buono. No.
Okay, so what do people want to say, or should they say when they're very pleased with their meal?
You can say, è molto buono, it's very good. Or, è buonissimo, it's delicious.
That's one of my favorites. I just like the sound of it. Buonissimo.
Buonissimo.
È buonissimo.
You do, because it usually is.
It's always really good. Okay, so something that maybe some people might want, not saying us, but if you want a little more wine or another one of something, what might you say?
All right, so for a little more, you can say ancora un po', per favore. So if they're pouring you wine and, you see that they didn't give you enough, ancora un po', per favore,
Okay,
So,
but what if I drink one and I want another one?
Then you can say un altro, per favore. Another one, please.
Okay, I also know that very well. So we've completed our meal. We've consumed a buonissimo entree and had our desserts and our coffee, and it's time to leave. Should we wait around for the check?
Then you can wait until they close the door, Tanya. No, if you want the check, you need to ask for it. So, and when you say, to ask for the check, you say, il conto, per favore.
The check, please. Which, again, might be the most important restaurant phrase you could learn because, as Davide pointed out, you could be there all evening because they will not rush you out and bring you the check automatically as we are used to in the US. So make sure you ask for the bill. And then that usually brings up questions about tipping.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to leave something extra for the waiter as a gratuity, you can say, questo per voi, this is for you. But, tipping is not mandatory in Italy, like in the US.
Right. We've talked about this before, but a small tip for excellent service is appreciated. It just doesn't need to become a big American tipping situation. Like it's nowhere near 15, 20%. It's a small gratuity, round up, give €5, €10 if you're spending over 100.
Yeah, exactly. So make sure the tip you give to the waiter in his hand, cash, and because you cannot add it onto your credit card.
And if you can add it to the credit card, it's often not getting into the hands of the waiter.
Yep.
Okay, so we've eaten, we've paid, we've tipped, and now we want to go home.
Okay, and then you can say, grazie, buona serata, which means thank you, have a nice evening. Or if it's very late, then you're going to bed, everybody's going to bed, grazie, buonanotte. So again,
So you're leaving for the night.
Yeah.
So some restaurant basics. Let's do a quick recap.
All right. Ho una prenotazione.
I have a reservation.
Un tavolo per due, per favore.
A table for two, please.
Acqua naturale or acqua frizzante?
Still water or sparkling water?
Brava. È buonissimo.
It's delicious.
Il conto, per favore.
The bill, please. So honestly, if you can manage those, you're in good shape at a restaurant.
Okay. Well, let's move on to your favorite topic, which is shopping.
Actually, I would say food is, but okay, I'll go with you.
Okay, cool. So, and I know for some people, this may be one of the most important sections of this entire episode, right, Tanya?
Well, I still think people are going to the restaurant first, but but just like in a cafe or a restaurant, we will begin with our greeting.
Always. Buongiorno or buonasera.
Yep. And then let's say you walk into a leather shop and you're looking for something specific.
You can say and you can ask, sto cercando, which means I'm looking for. And then you say either you point to the item or a bag, la borsa, a scarf, una sciarpa, a gift, un regalo, or shoes, scarpe. Yeah. And if you see something that you like, and you want to know how much it costs, you can ask, quanto costa? How much does it cost?
That one is easy enough that even I remember it all the time.
Yeah, because shopping helps motivating you to speak.
Very true. And then another question people often have is, can I pay by credit card?
Yeah, so you can ask, posso pagare con la carta? Or you can also say, accettate le carte di credito? Do you accept credit cards?
And honestly, nowadays, most places do, but it's still good to ask, especially in smaller shops or markets.
Yes, and I know Americans often wonder about negotiating prices, bargaining.
I was just going to ask, so can you bargain in Italy, Davide? Is it normal?
Generally speaking, not really. Maybe, in stores, prices are usually, the prices, so there's no bargaining there. So now, when you're in a market, for example, or in like touristic stores like here in town that we have, then yeah, you can ask for a discount. But it's not expected the way it is in some countries.
So maybe you don't walk into a beautiful leather shop and immediately start negotiating.
Probably not. If you want to ask politely, you can say, c'è uno sconto? Is there a discount? Or c'è uno sconto se pago in contanti? That's also important one, which means, is there a discount if I pay cash?
Yeah, that sometimes works.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
But I do think it's important to ask. Like, it feels very respectful, like you're asking, not assuming.
Exactly. So, and then when you leave, you say, grazie, buona giornata, have a nice day, thank you, have a nice day. Or you say, buona serata, have a nice evening.
Yep. And once again, we're back to the same theme. A greeting, a thank you, a few simple questions. You don't really need much Italian to navigate these particular situations comfortably.
Exactly. Okay, well, let's move on to transportation because I think this is where people can feel the most nervous, especially trains.
Yes, train stations are nerve-wracking. But let's start with buying a ticket. Like, it's probably most common now to buy tickets using an app. But if you do go to the ticket window, what do you say?
Un biglietto, per favore. Which means one ticket, please.
But you first said hello.
Of course. Buongiorno. Un biglietto, per favore. Or you can say more specific if you know you're going to Florence. You say, buongiorno, un biglietto per Firenze, per favore.
Okay.
I would like a ticket to Florence.
Now, the next thing everybody wants to know is which track, right? Because you have to go find your train.
Exactly. And you can ask, da quale binario parte il treno per Firenze, for example? So which track does it depart the train to Florence from?
Yep.
So
what if the train is delayed? Because that unfortunately happens quite frequently.
Yeah, you can ask, il treno per Firenze è in ritardo? Is the train to Florence late?
Okay. And let's say the worst happens. You missed your train.
Oh, mamma mia. Okay, then you can simply say, ho perso il treno. Può aiutarmi? I missed my train. Can you help me?
I love that one because it's simple and honest. And, really, I have to say this, that I find people here are usually very helpful. Like they go out of their ways to help you, even, local versus tourist, doesn't matter.
I mean, some people speak English, so they'll help. And even if they don't speak English, they will help you anyway. They will talk to you in hands and feet, they usually try to help you.
I agree. Worries. So, okay, we talked about trains, but what if you're taking the bus and need to find it?
Okay, so then you ask for the bus stop, so which you ask, dov'è la fermata dell'autobus? And if you're unsure how to buy a ticket for the bus...
Because be honest, every bus is practically different.
Yeah, so you get on the bus and then you ask, come posso pagare to the driver? Come posso pagare? How can I pay? And
very practical. Very practical. We've had to use that because, again, they're always different in every city. But let's finally talk about taxis because we've learned a few things here.
Okay, I know where this is going, Tanya.
So first, you need to find a taxi stand because in many cities, there are designated taxi stands. You're not just standing on the street waving them down. So you will need to ask for it. How do you say that, Davide?
Dov'è il posteggio dei taxi?
Okay, so once you have found the taxi stand and a taxi is willing to drive you, I'm going to say that this is my second tip is that it's, public service announcement. Before you get into the taxi, ask if they accept credit cards.
That's a really good idea.
Because unfortunately, we've once made the mistake of assuming cards were accepted and then we were driven to an ATM machine.
Yeah, that was fun, Tanya. Oh my God. So before before getting into a taxi, ask the question, accetta carte di credito? Do you accept credit cards?
And if the answer is no, you can simply find another taxi. No stress.
Exactly. And to wrap up transportation, let's summarize it. You just need a few keywords. Biglietto, ticket. Binario, track. Autobus, bus. Taxi.
Thankfully, taxi is taxi.
Yeah, or tassi, depending where in Italy. And then a couple of simple questions. That's usually enough to help you navigate most situations more comfortably.
I agree. Thank you, Davide, for that lesson. But now let's move on to the next scenario. And I hope it's one that not many people need very often, but it's incredibly useful to know. The pharmacy.
La farmacia. I think this surprised many visitors because pharmacies work a little different here in Italy, Tanya.
They really do. In the United States, if you're not feeling well, your instinct is to call a doctor, go to urgent care, go to the emergency room. But here in Italy, the first stop, if you are ill, is to go to the pharmacy.
Yeah, because pharmacists here are highly trained and a trusted source of advice. So many Italians will explain their symptoms to it. And then the pharmacist will evaluate if he can give you something or tells you to go to the doctor.
Right. Like we've had this conversation with Italians locally and we're like, oh, I'm really sick. I need to go to urgent care or the emergency room. Like, oh, you don't. You first need to go ask the pharmacist. And only if he agrees
Yeah,
should you go.
exactly.
And I love that about Italy. And, the pharmacists spend a lot of time with people. They will ask questions, make recommendations. I mean, many of them do speak some English. But it's one of those little things that can make navigating a minor illness while traveling feel much less stressful. So let's start with the greeting.
Buongiorno or buonasera.
Yep. And then maybe you're not feeling well. So you can say, non mi sento bene. I don't feel well.
Okay, I'm going to redo the buongiorno, because if you feel ill, you say buongiorno. So if you have specific symptoms, you can say like mi fa male la gola.
My throat hurts.
Yeah. Or mi fa male la testa.
My head hurts.
Or mi fa male lo stomaco.
Oh, my stomach hurts.
Oh, mamma mia.
And then perhaps the most useful phrase of all.
Può aiutarmi?
Can you help me?
Very simple, very useful. Right, Tanya?
And honestly, that's probably enough for most situations. So say hello, explain how you're feeling, ask for help, and let the pharmacist guide you from there.
Exactly.
And hopefully that's one scenario you never need on your trip. But if you do, you now know that walking into a pharmacy can be a really good first step. And also that we should touch on that there are sometimes situations that are even more serious than a sore throat or an upset stomach.
Yeah, sometimes, situations can be far more serious.
So before we wrap up, let's cover a few emergency phrases. So again, hopefully you'll never need these, but if you do, they can be incredibly helpful.
I agree. So the good news is that these phrases are very simple, like aiuto.
Help.
And può aiutarmi?
Yep, we covered that before. Può aiutarmi. It's actually a mouthful. Può aiutarmi.
Yeah.
Can you help me?
Help me?
Honestly, if all you remember is aiuto, people will immediately understand that you need assistance.
Yes, you're in emergency and you need assistance. Another useful phrase is mi sono perso.
I'm lost.
For a man. Or mi sono persa.
I am lost.
For a woman.
But what if you need medical help?
You can say ho bisogno di un medico. I need a doctor. And if it's an emergency and you need an ambulance, you say chiamo un'ambulanza.
Call an ambulance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one more situation that unfortunately happens to travelers from time to time. You lose your passport.
Okay, so then you can say ho perso il passaporto. I lost my passport.
Okay, well, again, none of these phrases are complicated. And honestly, even if your pronunciation isn't perfect, people will understand you.
Yeah, in an emergency, people simply want to help. So even if you say ambulanza or aiuto, they will get it.
Yep. No, I think it's a great way to end the lesson. And, you don't need to know hundreds of words or have perfect grammar, but have a few handful of phrases on hand, say them with a smile, and it'll get you along more smoothly in Italy.
Okay. So before we wrap up, let's move into this episode's tips from Tanya. Tips from Tanya.
Okay, for this episode, I have 3 simple tips. Number 1, practice a little before you go. So again, you do not need to study Italian for months before your trip, but even a little practice really helps. And I really like the app Duolingo. It can be useful for building vocabulary and also just getting used to the sound of the language, becoming comfortable with it. If you hear grazie, you know what they're saying. But I would also encourage people to say the words out loud. Like, don't just read them in your head. Practice saying buongiorno, grazie, per favore, dove il bagno. And it's fun to throw that accent in too, because you feel real, like a little bit like Davide. Because the first time you say them, you don't want to be standing in front of a very busy Italian barista feeling embarrassed. So practice a little bit. Get the cheat sheet out and practice. Tip number 2, learn a few communication helpers. And, there are a few phrases that you can use when you're running into some challenges. As Davide pointed at the beginning of the episode, parla inglese. Do you speak English? You don't want to just run into somebody and ask in English, do you speak English? I mean, just asking in Italian is a little bit more courteous. So say parla inglese. If there's running and speaking a mile a minute at you. Italian, and you're like, huh? Don't just say, I don't understand. Say, non capisco. I don't understand. Maybe explain if you're trying to speak a little bit of Italian and stumbling. Just, mi scusa, non parlo bene italiano. I don't speak Italian very well. Common phrase from me. Also, if you want him to slow down a little, you'll say, può parlare più lentamente, per favore. Can you speak more slowly, please? If you want to know how to say something, come si dice.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to know how something is called and you're pointing at it, like what's the name for this? Come si chiama questo? And, these can be very helpful because they don't require you to know everything. They just get people to assist you a little bit and slow down and stay engaged.
Great tip.
Tip number 3, lead with courtesy, not perfection. And that's the biggest takeaway, right, from this entire episode, that you're not going to say things perfectly. That's okay. What matters most is the effort, the greeting, the thank you, the smile, the respectful tone. So not knowing the language doesn't excuse bad manners. Like, you're not given a pass. You're humans and you're interacting with other humans. And so acknowledge them and show a little effort because it will help you move throughout the country with more confidence and with more connection with others. And that's really the goal. You're not just coming here to be a consumer. You're here to engage with other locals and be a common, a polite person, respectful.
Well, Tanya, again, these are very useful tips, and I knew we couldn't just stick to buongiorno, grazie, and parla inglese.
Gets you pretty far, though.
Exactly. So, but yeah.
Well, I do hope the episode has shown that you don't need to speak fluent Italian to have an amazing trip here.
Absolutely not.
And we hope we've given you some useful phrases and maybe also reinforced a few cultural tips that can help you navigate Italy with a little more ease and enjoy some more enriching conversations and interactions with people along the way. Because honestly, I think pairing the language with the real life situations makes it easier to remember them. And, there are a million phrase sheets out there on the internet, but knowing when to use a phrase and why it matters culturally gives it context and hopefully makes it stick in your brain a little bit better.
Well, Tanya, speaking of phrase sheet, you summarized the phrases we covered today, and you're going to post them on our Facebook group page, Experience Italy with Friends, right?
Yes, I will. So be sure to print it and practice before your trip, listening to the episode again so you can hear how things are correctly pronounced. Probably more from Davide. But thank you so much for joining us. If this episode encourages you to say buongiorno when you walk into a bakery, order your cappuccino in Italian, or simply make a little more effort to connect with people along the way, then I think we've accomplished what we set out to do today.
Grazie mille, amici. And if you only learned to say grazie and bruschetta correctly today, you made my day.
Arrivederci. Until next time, ciao for now, and keep experiencing Italy with friends.
Ciao.
We hope you've enjoyed Experience Italy with Friends. If you like the podcast, remember to follow us and leave a review letting us know what you found to be the most helpful. And if you want expert advice or assistance in creating your own immersive and authentic experience in Italy, visit us at www.amicivacations.com.